Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. We're back with another 10 at 10 video for you.
You probably know us by now because if you're maple crazy like we are, I'm Tim, this is my brother Matt, and we're MrMaple.com, a mail order business from Western North Carolina that ships directly to your door, and we graft and produce over 1,000 different varieties of Japanese maples. So an amazing assortment of Japanese maples. Every Tuesday at 10 a.m. we list at least 10 new trees. This week there's 20 new trees. We're going to talk about 10 of them here today. But if you want to get the full listing for today's, go on Mr. Maple at 10 a.m. You'll see the full listing. If you want to get a heads up for next week, sign up for our weekly emails on MrMaple.com. When you do that, you'll be notified at 9 a.m. for the full listing of 20 trees.
Yeah, this is the 10 at 10 for June 14th of 2022. So these sizes are indicative of that time frame. If you're watching this video a year or two later, the sizes may be slightly larger or slightly smaller, but we still greatly appreciate you watching. So first up here on the table, we have Yellow Cascade. Now this is a newer selection from Talon Buchholz. It's going to be similar to that Ryusin in shape. It's going to be a weeping form, but with some golden yellow coloration.
And I like this one because this one has a little more butter yellow than something like Golden Falls. You want to give this some protection from the hot afternoon sun. I mean, that's one of the keys with some of these yellows, especially Yellow Cascade. But this one is one of the ones that gets as tall as you stake it. So you can stake it up and it's going to cascade down from there. If you want to know how to do that, check out our staking video. We've got a whole video just on staking.
Yeah, these are unstaked, so you can do that hanging basket style, or you can stake them up. I tend to prefer to stake this one about 5 to 6 feet and then just let it weep down. I'm a little less familiar with this one than Golden Falls and Dragon Master because I've had less time with it, but I would say a unique characteristic of this one is that it gets a real faded white. I mean, it gets almost like a white yellow, like that tanned out, almost like tinted yellow to it, which I like a lot. It's almost a washed out color, but it makes it very picked up in its color. And I like that about it. Butter yellow is the best way to describe this one. Fast growing tree for us. If you're staking it up, you can get over a foot of growth a year easily out of it. Very similar in the growth span of Ryusin. So, great when they grow there. I typically stake it to about 5 to 6 feet and let it weep from there. That's how the one in my garden is. I have about a 6-footer in my garden now. And just a beautiful new tree from Talon Buchholz.
Now these are low grafted, so these are great if you want to sort of let a tree just sort of creep across the ground, or if you want to take this tree and put it in a hanging basket. I know Alan Castile was visiting us just the other day. He really likes to do that with putting these weeping types in hanging baskets and letting them cascade down. It's a great way to put an ornamental tree and really get a unique perspective on a hanging basket. I know Heather Strong does that too.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool way to grow some of these extremely cascading and pendulous types.
For sure.
So we thought we'd bring this back because they're ready now. MIKAWA YATSUBUSA in some low grafts. We've got some high graft lollipops on there currently, if they're still around when the 10 at 10 hits. So we've got them high graft lollipops, but these are low grafted MIKAWA YATSUBUSAs. We actually list them as two separate products because they're so different how one starts at such a higher point and one starts really low to the ground.
Yeah, if you're watching our channel, you know all about MIKAWA YATSUBUSA. We've done videos on it. It's a constant fan favorite of ours, one of our most popular trees we list. Great sizes in these 1 gallon MIKAWAs. They're really well developed, nice branching to them, and always a classic. Orangey red fall color, super easy to grow, one of the most cold tolerant, one of the most heat tolerant. Leaves out a little later, so it's frost resistant. Great overall qualities, but the main thing about this one is that tight shingled layering. Gives it that bonsai-esque look. Even, for anybody that's not into bonsai, you can grow this one and kind of get that same aesthetic in your garden.
Great container plant, great plant out in the landscape as a small dwarf. And this is a plant that's just one of our favorites. This style is so unique. It gives a unique texture as well as a beautiful tree.
So next up here we have, another fan favorite, I would say. We're bringing back ACER PALMATUM KRISTIN'S Star. So this one's just awesome. We were lucky to have Bill Taylor and Kristen Taylor here at our open house. And people were walking around, they were asking where the Kristen Star at, and I was saying, well, here's Kristen right here. This is who it's named after. And some customers of ours who selected this seedling, and we got it grafted and got it into the trade. Awesome colorations on this. The best way I can describe this plant to you is Akane, but a durable Akane. So think of all those amazing colors you like about Akane. I'd say Kristen Star rivals those or even beats them, but in a much more durable plant.
Akane, as the book says, was sold for something crazy amount. It may have been 1,000,000 yen, $10,000 at a trade show in Japan because the colors were so beautiful of this flowering effect. The biggest problem that we have with Akane is it catches a fungus, even in the shade. And people think that it's burning up, but it's actually a fungus. KRISTIN'S Star, you get the same effect, the same colors, the same small stature that you get with Akane, but with a durable plant.
Yeah, this one's one of the most striking trees there in the spring garden. It's oranges, it's yellows, it's a small vase shape overall. It's a very compact plant. You know, I think it's an excellent plant. It's one we actually, you know, introduced by grafting from Bill and Kristen Taylor and got into the trade. You know, we've traded this tree since with people like Talon Buchholz, and I think it's fun when they see merit in what we do. So he started producing this tree. It's starting to get out there in the nursery trade more. I think it's only going to get more popular as people really enjoy this one. They do tend to sell out quickly on MrMaple. We have some nice sets of these, but be ready at 10 for KRISTIN'S Star.
They won't last long. Make sure you're quick on the draw. Whenever you check out with them, that's when they're held with your name on them. If you don't check out with them, they're not going to be held for you. So next up, we have ACER PALMATUM KIYOHIME YATSUBUSA, or ACER PALMATUM KIYOHIME. Those are actually the same plant. YATSUBUSA just means dwarf, and KIYOHIME is that dwarf selection. This is a really cool plant that just has a nice spreading out habit and some really nice purple-red borders to this in the early spring.
Yeah, always popular for bonsai, really tight foliage. KIYOHIME is a classic from Japan. You're probably familiar with this one. That bright neon border this spring is what makes it so popular, but also that nice little toadstool-like habit to it. I mean, this is gonna be a perfect little umbrella shape, more of a toadstool overall. It's got the stem there and then just makes a small little dome. It's an awesome plant in the landscape, but very popular for container gardening or for bonsai for sure.
Now, people often ask us what's the difference between KIYOHIME and Murasaki KIYOHIME. KIYOHIME often spreads out, where Murasaki KIYOHIME often has a semi-upright kind of spreading habit to it, makes more of a ball. Both are fantastic for bonsai, and both make excellent little dwarfs. KIYOHIME is amazing. I love this plant. It's so durable, it's heat tolerant, it's drought tolerant. It's some of our favorite trees for the deep south because of how heat tolerant it is. And it's a plant that really is pretty bulletproof. I love this plant.
Super easy to grow. I mean, this one can handle full sun up to zone 8. Works zones 5 through 9. Exceptionally heat tolerant for sure. And just a lovely plant to be adding there. You know, one of my favorite ways, the easiest way to grow any Japanese maples in the ground. I mean, that's how they're easiest to grow. But one of my favorites to grow in a container, just make sure the container has good drainage.
I remember going to Gristmill Landscaping and seeing the KIYOHIME that he had there that was so old, and he put it over a rock wall, and it just creaked down. And he lifted up this KIYOHIME that's probably 40 years old, and you see a rock wall underneath there, and you're like, oh my goodness, this thing's huge.
So I think me and Tim typically trade off every other plant, and I must have stolen his thunder today because, you know, Tim likes the yellow plants. He screams yellow in our videos, but I keep hitting all the good yellows today. So today we're bringing back ACER SHIRASAWANUM AUREUM. You're familiar with this plant if you watch our channel. We just did an amazing video on this at St. John's in the Wilderness. I say amazing because Brian did a great job editing it. Not any part on my part, but it looked really cool. It was an awesome plant, and it was a fun one to get on video for you. So definitely go check that one out. But ACER SHIRASAWANUM AUREUM is a classic full moon maple. It is the quintessential golden yellow ACER SHIRASAWANUM.
Love this plant. We often put it in containers when you're finding a spot for your yard. Find its happy place in the container and then plant it in the ground once you found its happy place. Typically, protection from the hot afternoon sun or filtered light is a great way to grow ACER SHIRASAWANUM AUREUM. We've got, like Matt said, a whole video on this plant, but this is a nice, slow-growing, bright yellow that you can use to brighten up those dark places out in the landscape and garden. And being that full moon maple with that golden color, this really just adds a lot of texture, a lot of beauty, and a lot of color in any garden.
For sure, for sure. So next up here, we got the one that keeps grabbing everybody here. It keeps hanging up on all our other trees when I'm pulling them out.
ACER PALMATUM Dragon Tears. And I love this plant. It really has a contorting, twisting, very unique habit, a spreading out habit. It keeps going upright, but then the side branches just really have these unique shapes that really gives us something special.
Right. Stop me if you heard this one before, but we have a whole video dedicated to Dragon Tears, so definitely check that out. We went down to Maple Street and shot one recently. We're closing on like 300 videos here on the MrMaple Show. Almost 200 episodes of just maples and 300 videos overall, so there's a whole catalog there to check out. Check out our video just on Dragon Tears. We love this one for its semi-cascading habit. Think of this one more like a Murayama. It's more of a contorted style shape than Ryusen. I don't sell it as a Ryusen style shape, but it's a really fun plant once you understand what it does. It definitely has a more unique characteristic to it than many Japanese maples, and it's definitely very different in the garden.
And this gives you some good red color with a nice medium sized red leaf that really just gives you some color, some texture, and is really one of those funky plants that really just has some really nice contorted shapes.
All right, I got another yellow, Tim. You're missing out today, buddy. Here you go. So next up, I've got another bright yellow selection. This one being ACER palmatum and IRENE. Now this is a variegated sport found on summer gold, and one of the cool things about this tree is it retains a lot of those great characteristics of summer gold. So it's a dwarf for overall tree, bright yellow, seems to be very heat tolerant for us so far, and amazing variegation. This one has that cream splash variegation over top of that bright yellow of summer gold.
Found by some of our friends in Holland, this is just an amazing plant. It's yellow, it's variegated, so you know I love it. I love variegated, I love yellow. The spring colors on this, where you get some of that orange ruffle on the outside of this variegated yellow, gives such a dynamic contrast. But then having a nice upright tree that keeps giving you yellow throughout the season, this is a plant that you can use anywhere, and plant it somewhere up close if you want to really enjoy that spring ruffled orange color around the edge with the yellow color. You can plant it in the background to really give you some yellow color. You can plant it in the shade to brighten up those dark areas. I mean, there's so many ways to use this plant. That's one of the reasons I love it.
It seems to retain that heat tolerance of summer gold. I definitely recommend some late day shade, maybe in the zone 8 and zone 9 conditions, especially shade in zone 9. This tree's gonna work zones 5 through 9, but a little more protection in zone 8, your hotter humid zone 8s. Super durable though. We've loved this plant for its characteristics. I mean, I think it's super unique, and some great sizes on these 1 gallons again too.
And once established, this can handle more sun. Whenever it's in its first year, just like summer gold, or it's trying to get established, you might want to give it some protection if you can. You can give it a little bit of a small shade canopy or something until it gets established. That's always a great thing to do with any of your young plants just trying to get established in a full sun situation. Oh, next up, ACER palmatum, first ghost.
Hey, if you don't have a ghost, this can be your first one. Let us know your best plant dad jokes in the comment section below. First ghost is a classic. It's got that purple border to it when it first leaves out with that reticulated veining.
Yeah, this one actually still has a little bit of purple border on some of the summer new growth flesh coming out. This is one of the very first ghosts. It was a sport on a plant at Dr. Bump's garden. Talon Buchholz grafted it, introduced it as the very first ghost. And this is a plant that's really just amazing. I mean, it's one of those plants that,
yeah,
it's just a purple border, a variegation, and it really has a really nice habit where it goes up and the side branches just sort of semi-cascade. Not weeping, but they semi-cascade, so they arch downward just a little bit. And it gives this plant something really special.
You're gonna get your best color on this one with some late day protection. That means that 3 o'clock on sun, you wanna protect it as much from that. This one works zones 5 through 9, definitely shade in zone 9. It really doesn't burn too bad, but if you can give it late day shade, you'll carry some of those spring colors later into that summer season. So you'll get what you like about it even longer. Excellent even in the fall, goes to some golden yellows and almost oranges in the fall, so some great color changes there, but always a classic ACER palmatum first ghost. Now skipping on down the table, I'll hand you the big one since I'm normally sitting here struggling with the big one. Next up we have Prince Charming. Now Prince Charming's another unique plant. This is a dissectum. You may have seen our recent video on Toyama, or what we're calling it is Nancy's Legacy, which has been very popular in the trade. With this one, we have another tree that's quite unique in its characteristics. This is Prince Charming.
Now this one really leaves out in the early spring as a brighter red, and then goes to this unique shade of dark red, almost blue-green red during the summer, and then bright scarlet reds in the fall. And really nice weeping habit. It's gonna get about 4 to 5 feet tall, 5-6 foot wide. If you give it sunlight, you really get a lot more of that red color in these leaves. In shade, you're gonna get more of that blue-green kind of color you get on it with some bronzing. And a really nice weeping red lace leaf. We've got these in both the 3-gallon size and some nice 1-gallon sizes.
Yeah, if you're getting this one out in the early sun in the spring, you're gonna get a whole lot of pink, which is just excellent. Typically about 5 by 5, even in 10 years. Excellent tree. Again, this one's gonna work zones 5 through 9, and I definitely recommend shading that zone 9 for any of your Japanese maples, but they certainly can work there, especially when sided with really good drainage. Any of these are gonna want excellent drainage in the landscape.
Yeah, so this is basically a sport that happens on Hanamatoi that people started propagating, And it's a cool plant. It's got some good colors and some really nice weeping habit as well.
Sure. All right, next up, I'll let you do with the yellow one, Tim, even though it's not really yellow right now.
Lima Gold. I've been saying Lima Gold forever. So
I'm sticking with Lima.
Billy told us that it's actually Lima, Pennsylvania.
I'll argue with him, Lima.
But this is one of those MIKAWA variants that we love a bunch. It's basically like a MIKAWA with really small leaves. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, people from that region definitely call it Lima.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a beautiful plant. You know, we put this one in the MIKAWA family because it's almost that smaller leaf style MIKAWA YATSUBUSA. It definitely captures that density of MIKAWA YATSUBUSA. Some great size 2 gallons. I mean, they're not huge plants, it's a dwarf plant, but these would look excellent for a bonsai. As you can see, they've already got some great lateral branching on them, and just an excellent plant. Again, this one's gonna work zones 5 through 9. Can handle a lot of sun, but you're gonna wanna give it protection in that zone 9 habit.
And this is a Dick Wolf introduction from Red Maple Nurseries. We have a whole video on Maple Nurseries and their introductions. And this is an amazing plant that they've introduced that we've got, they've introduced so many amazing plants. This is one of my favorites probably out of everything they've introduced, just with that dense, dwarf, compact habit. And it gives you a gold fall color, which where it gets the name of Lima Gold.
Yeah, one cool thing about this one, it kind of tells the tale about getting plants out there to people. You know, Ed Shin has the very first one and the one that all of them come from in his garden. He got it from Dick Wolf, and if Ed wasn't generous in sharing that with others, hey, we wouldn't be growing this one today. I think this cool plant is due in part to his generosity and getting it back out there in the trade. And I love this plant. Whether you call it Lima Gold or Lima Gold, it's gonna look awesome. I definitely put it in that MIKAWA family too for its really unique habit.
Great for small places in the garden, great for containers. Just make sure you give containers on Japanese maples some good drainage. We always say that. People joke about, they didn't say good drainage in this video.
That's the #1 issue though.
Yeah, it's the #1 issue we see with Japanese maples. And this is such a cool plant. Very unique, very special. If you don't have a Lima Gold in your garden, it's a good chance to add one today. Just make sure you act fast because they probably won't last long.
Hey, we really appreciate you watching our video today. Thanks so much for tuning into these premieres. I get so many good comments in these. We love that. Definitely keep putting your favorite plant or Japanese maple related dad jokes in the comment section below. You know I'm always good for some dad jokes in these videos, so definitely chime in there. And by that, we just mean the good corny ones, right? Those are the best jokes anyway.
And if you're watching this live right now, we do have a giveaway going around right now. We're giving away multiple $25 gift cards to MrMaple. You can post hashtag Japanese maples in the comment section below. It's a great way to be able to get your chance to enter, but make sure you like the video and share the video as well, and make sure you subscribe to MrMaple.
Hey, we got a 10 at 10 to catch. It's coming up pretty soon, so I'll ask y'all to check out, make sure to leave through the gift shop. We've got some amazing plants going on today at 10 a.m. We're closing in on that pretty soon, so be ready. Some of these will sell out quite quickly, but we've got some fun things lined up for you, and even more to come. We're always trying to look and shock and awe ourselves with every 10 at 10 and make them fun. So we greatly appreciate you guys tuning into these premieres. You make it fun for us, and we're gonna keep doing them, guys. We really appreciate it, and we love all the interaction, especially on those premieres. We're looking at premiering another video each week, so there might be one more thing popping up at the premiere here soon, and we're just loving this interaction and growth on our channel. It's been so much fun and a great way to interact with all of our crazy maple collectors all over the world, and we just really appreciate you.
And there's a great community in the comments, so make sure you join in. Post your comments down below, comment with other people. It's a great way to get involved. If you want to post photos of your garden or plants, always go to MrMaple Friends Group on Facebook. There's a great community there as well where you can get involved.
Thanks for watching.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.